Welcome back to another TK Breezy video. We're back with more stuff to talk about. One of the big things that happened this week was Dr. Allen has returned. He's came back. He was on the Lights Out podcast, which I will definitely link below so you can watch the whole thing, because I'm just going to paraphrase it. And also, I think he deserves more views for that. Surprisingly, it did not I thought it'd be at 100K by now, the way y'all be talking about him. But before we get into that, we got some other stuff to talk about. Let's talk about. So one of the first things I saw, boom, it was Fatality saying, have any of the events that want Steve banned been able to get a Nintendo license? Pretty sure they want to prove that, so it's safe to bet that Steve is just here to stay and only bannable at local events now. Hit the dance. Disregard this post. I've been privately informed of some upcoming large events that have both Steve banned and an approved Nintendo license. I hope, honestly surprised at something they approved, but good to know. Yeah, bro. So even Nintendo knows that Steve is an abomination to the game, and you know what? I'm gonna clap it up for them for that. Let's go, Nintendo. Good ass idea, bro. You know? But in all seriousness, it is cool that you can now run Steve allowed or Steve banned tournaments, because I was, there's we've been kind of going back and forth on that. I really don't have an answer for it yet, because I feel like without Steve, there's still going to be some annoying top 8s, but Steve definitely has a good chance of making the top 8 way more annoying, because I feel like Steve is way up there as far as characters goes, and carries a lot of people. So anyway, that was one thing. The other thing we got going on is that I don't know why they decided to do this, but yeah, Rob Moore Esports, which is the CEO of Sentinels Corporation, says, for those people, or for those of you hoping that we would be able to sign IBDW, they tagged them. We made what we thought was a marketplace offer, but Cody and his team believe that they can find a better deal. We'll still be rooting for him as the fans that we are. So everyone's like, few minutes of research would have done wonders for your marketplace offer, just to make your cheap, starts getting blasted by everybody. Aatrox here, Haley's here, Ringler's here, J-Mook is here. Just a bunch of people are here to be like, what? Why would you say that, right? That was idiotic. So then I obviously went over to Cody's page to see if he said anything. And well, we actually get to see what the deal was. So I'm going to say one last thing. My only issue with this tweet was bringing up the fair market value. While it can be used to cover your own bases, unnecessary to bring up and makes it seem like I'm asking for too much. If the tweet was left at, we couldn't have worked something out, I would have quote retweeted, wishing nothing but the best and moved on. Lack of communication plagues esports from what I can tell, and this just felt like another instance that could have been settled amicably. So now, he said he wanted to keep his situation with Sentinels extremely cordial, stating that I felt the deal proposed wasn't beneficial for either side, and given there wasn't much movement, I decided it was best for both parties to move on. Given their tweet, I feel like I need to say something. So he says what he says. The offer would have left me as the lowest compensated player in the entire top 10, and I wasn't even guaranteed travel to events. There might have been a universe that this was covered, but every response was met with a week of no response, and time isn't an endless resource. The only budgeting their offer had was to travel to some events, which never specifically outlined, in addition to 2 other stipulations that cost me money that no other Melee player has ever had to concede. I'm sad that I was forced to say anything, but it does feel forced. That being said, I'm a free agent. He says it again. So I got on some more inside information from I'll say a reliable source to me, that the deal was a 4K stipend. They wanted him to stream, or they wanted a quite a bit of viewing hours, 100K viewing hours every month, and yeah, the travel thing. Now, coming from the fact that I was also sponsored at once, my stipend was not that big, and I'm not even mad about that. My stipend was like 1,000, and I was like, you know what, that pays my bills and my car note. That's all I care about now. But on top of that 1,000, anything that I did was taken care of. So if I had to go travel to something, they bought the flight. If I bought an Uber, they reimbursed it. If I bought food, and it was just food, not like alcohol, they reimbursed it. So yeah, I may have not got a bunch of money, but I also didn't have to spend any money. The trade-off was I was featured in videos, I got to go to more places, and be put more in front of more cameras and things like that. It's a great trade-off. So definitely big fan of that. But yeah, I think from what I hear about some of the other people, yeah, that what they get 4K is definitely not a lot for where Cody is in the current ecosystem of Smash. Now, if Cody was not Mr. Top 8, almost usually Mr. Top 3, then I'd be like, all right, sure, you could make an argument like that. But Yeah, so that's what's going on with Cody. He is still a free agent. So am I, by the way. So, you know, hey man, free agents stick together. It's not 4K a year, it's 4K a month. Could you imagine? It's like Smash is broke, but like, let's be real, bro. Smash is broke. We're like, come on, man. Like, put some respect on the man's name, dog. Anyway, so yeah, that was going on with Cody. Yeah, man. So hey, man, maybe we'll both get signed eventually. And then the last thing and the biggest thing that we're going to talk about, Dr. Allen has returned. You know, he's back. Now, if you did not know, he was back on the Lights Out podcast, and I watched it last night, and then I watched it again this morning so I could paraphrase a couple notes. So that way it was easier to talk to y'all about it. I will say Dr. Allen's a very smart man, and he is really good with his words. Now, do I think that Dr. Allen is evil? No, I've never thought he was evil, and I never like subscribed to the fact that like he is the worst human. I think he made some mistakes that have cost the company. Yes, but like also no. I think that like at the end of the day, again, as I always say in like a lot of my videos, Smashers have like this obsession with saying that I'm the better person and I would never, right? You'll never see me do this. This man's so evil, we got to get him out here. We're saving the community because Allen had some pretty strong arm tactics, supposedly, with some of the other TOs. And because of that, we don't like him. And we have to say that we don't like him out loud. And we have to, you know, kick him out the community because somehow this makes the community much better, right? That's how it's gone. That's how it's done, right? Now, as you can see from last year and this year, the community is not much better. In fact, I feel like we're in one of the worst spots we've been in a long time. But that's neither here nor there. That's not what I came to talk about. Let us talk about what was in the video. So, as I said, I caught some notes about what I believe were like talking points. So, you know, this is just all about Dr. Allen's. I watched the whole podcast. I'm not going to talk about what was going on in the podcast outside of him. Like you can go watch the podcast. Anyway, Dr. Allen has been reconnecting with his love for books and anime since his off time. He's got more free time now, so he's able to kind of do that. That was like the opening thing. They asked him, you know, to say you look good. They said, you got a pretty cool background. He's been like, yeah, I've been reading a lot of books and I've been watching a lot of anime or whatever. He pretty much lost everything overnight, as far as like this thing came out. And then Hive Mind smash pitchforks, and then he lost everything, right? They asked him if he was surprised about the guidelines. He says he's not really surprised about the guidelines. He says Nintendo takes time to do things, so it shouldn't be a surprise that Nintendo is still around to the people who thought that Nintendo was just going to be gone after everything, right? So, like, I think a lot of people thought that after Nintendo, he felt that people probably thought that Nintendo just was not going to exist anymore after the Panda Cup. Like, they were just going to be like, all right, man, we tried, and we're just going to back up. Well, I think history shows that Nintendo is never really that far away. It's still their IP, and if they really decide to shut shit down, they probably could. Hopefully they don't, but they probably could, right? So yeah, Nintendo's always been around. Now the guidelines are out. And honestly, man, now that I look at them, you know, the guidelines don't really seem to be that hard to obtain. It seems like a lot of people were talking about or not the guidelines, the license doesn't seem to be that hard to obtain. It seems like a lot of people were talking about they got their license back pretty quickly. So I can't really tell if this is like the worst idea ever or like the worst outcome that we can get as people who play Smash, or if this is just like an extra step to get tournaments going. But we'll have to see it in the future because as of right now, it's kind of unclear. Haven't seen any license ran tournament yet. We need to see if that if the landscape of the license of the tournaments change because of the license. There are certain things we can and can't do. We just have what's written on paper. But we haven't seen it in action yet. Anyway, he said that Panda Cup actually had little Nintendo involvement. Like, a lot of the stuff that, and this is true, a lot of the stuff, like Nintendo slapped his name on it, and they were there to like, you know, oversee that like nothing was getting no copyright infringement or whatnot. But we still got a lot of stuff. You know, we got a lot of sponsorship. There was a lot of money put into Smash when the Panda Cup was around, like 100%. That's from all aspects. I got paid better. Production got paid better. There's prize pools. Like everybody was getting paid better. You know what I mean? The production value for things looked really good as well. Not to say that we don't still have good production values, because we have people like Devin 3000 running around, House of 3K, wonderful production all the time, everywhere. Anyway, he says the Reddit niggas is lying on his name as per usual. There were some pretty crazy comparisons in that Reddit thread when it was announced that Allen would be there. Some guy compared him to Harvey Weinstein, And that was crazy. And then somebody called him out and he was like, it's just a comparison about something. He's like, if you can't understand a comparison, that's on you. First of all, no, don't ever compare anybody. You know what I mean? Like, you can do some pretty evil shit and still not be warranted justifying that comparison. You know what I mean? So wild shit, right? But anyway, he says the Reddit people were saying that the Panda Cup only brought brought a license, which was not true, because the Panda Cup brought money, production value, etc. Which, as someone who has received said things, yes, that is true. The Panda Cup did bring money, production value, and security and jobs, honestly, for a lot of people. You know, I mean, I got to commentate a lot that year because of the Panda Cup. Now, I'm not saying I don't commentate as much. Tournaments that hired me last year did not have the money to hire me this year, and we even try to work deals. Like, I don't feel like I'm like crazy expensive, because one, it's Smash. Like, I have a rate that I give to everyone, but then within Smash, I tell them the rate, and then I say, but hey, let's work a deal, because I know whatever rate I'm giving you is not going to be the rate that you can accept, because it's Smash. So you tell me, you give me a workload, I'll give you a number, we work to the middle, and then, like, yeah, that's how I usually do my Smash deals. Anyway, he says he had to flee his home because he was being doxxed, he was getting harassed, his family was getting harassed, people who have the same last name as him was getting harassed, people who like worked with Panda who felt like they couldn't say anything for him, like DM'd him and texted him, be like, I'm sorry, like, you know, but I'm gonna have to step down from Panda, like the harassment's too much, blah blah blah. Definitely was part of that. Obviously, a lot of people definitely stepped down. I think if I said this in like some of my older videos, but I feel like if he publicly stepped down faster, we probably could have still had Panda around, and I don't think I would have quit. But it was also, there was just like, we had a meeting a little bit before I decided to quit, that like I just didn't like the answers that I got from him specifically, that I was like, you know what, like I just don't really feel like this is a ship that's not going to sink. And then on top of that, the landscape that already changed. A lot of the people that I originally wanted to work with in Panda were not there anymore already. So like, even if I stayed, it wouldn't have been the same team. So I decided, like, I'm gonna go anyway. Coney left, Vicky left, you know, Josh left. It was just a lot of people that like I really looked up to and care about and was happy to work with, that I just decided, you know what, this probably isn't worth it for me either. So and eventually, even if I would have stayed, like 4 months later, I would have been kicked off anyway, because they pretty much kicked everybody, right? He said that the Ludwig Scuffed Invitational was the actual reason the Panda finale was canceled. It was said that it was the finale was eventually going to turn into an invitational, because all the people that canceled, so they were just going to invite people who wanted to come, and they were going to turn it into an invitational. But because the Ludwig Scuffed Invitational ran on that day, I think it made it so that the Panda finale was no more. He said even if they moved it one day, they might have still been able to do it. Now, he's not saying to go harass Ludwig. He's just telling you, he's like, without Ludwig didn't know, we didn't know. Obviously, we went to the Ludwig Scuffed Invitational. Nobody knew. It was just like, that was in the background, that was probably one of the final nails in the coffin for Panda finale. So the Panda finale still could have potentially ran. Do I think it would have been good if it ran? Probably not. So many people dropped out, and a lot of people were like definitely on big fuck Panda hours. So it probably would not have been successful regardless. I will note that I think Alan is very good with his words. And so whilst maybe not meaning to take this shot, it does still put some type of blame on Ludwig by saying things as the Ludwig Scuff Invitational was the reason that the Panda finale was canceled and 150 jobs were lost. I'm not trying to place the blame and then put it like that, because like, first of all, that's a, come on, man, that's twisting the knife right there, bro. Regardless if Ludwig meant to do this or not, that's a, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, as I said, I think he's very good with his words. I think that was a pointed statement, and I think that is unfair to Ludwig at all. Anyway, he says SSC did not get a cease and desist, but they did get copyright infringement, just like Ludwig got, and he made a video about that. So if you did not see that video, he said that he got a copyright infringement notice from Nintendo. He also says that he thinks that if Ludwig just didn't use Frozen Stadium, he wouldn't have got that. But yeah. Anyway, he also said that Nintendo was the reason the Panda controller was shut down. It shut down 3 days in. He said they wanted them to go through their licensing division first. He says that all the time spent in shutdown was spent improving the controllers. Buttons on the plate, like a Victrix controller. If you ever seen a Victrix controller, you can kind of like swap things around. It's a customizable controller. You could have done the same thing with the Panda controller, supposedly, allegedly. He also says they had Hall effect sensors, which make the control stick more accurate and less prone to decay and better than potentiometers. And for a quick rundown on Hall effect sensors, they use magnets instead of what potentiometers use, so it's much easier for them to not decay over time. He was asked how involved he was with the players and staff, and he was very involved with the players and staff, and that is true. I've had many dinners, private talks with Alan. He was definitely, a man of the people when it came to Panda, for sure. Like, we talked to him about my depression. He gave me, but yeah. So Alan was a good dude when it comes to talking to people that he worked with, for sure. I'll give that up, right? LD caught another stray there. He was like, I didn't even know that guy. He called him LG or LS or something like that. So LD caught another stray. It is what it is. He said, Alan said he was out of Panda within 4 days. So there was never, he said that LD said that Alan was still pulling the strings from behind behind the scenes. That was not true. Alan was out within 4 days. So the thing happened. Alan made a statement. We made another statement. And when it was time for him to go, he stepped down as CEO and he was out within 4 days. He says he's not involved with Panda at all, which still exists. They just do back end stuff now, which is, I guess that's true. I don't really know anything about Panda. After I left, I really didn't have much to talk to him about after they paid me my last month of stipend. And that was it. Like, I was, haven't really talked to anybody related with Panda since, at least not to my knowledge. He says that Panda most likely wouldn't be able to come back. The damage is done. I think that's also true. I think that there's irreparable damage that has been done to Panda, and while I think there's a decent amount of people that have probably changed their tune and been like, honestly, Panda wasn't that bad. I think that there's still going to be people out there that had the pitchforks up just to be having the pitchforks up. Panda, even when it was good, still had people just pitchforking. Whilst benefiting off Panda being Panda, by the way, they were still out there pitchforking. So, I definitely believe that there's just no reason for Panda to try to make a comeback. I also think at this time, Luminosity will not ever be able to replace Panda. And I don't even know if they're trying to, but it definitely felt that way when they first came out swinging. But if they start going their own direction, cool. I think Luminosity is still a cool company to have around. So I'm going to go ahead and be like, hey, until you guys do something that's like kind of fucked, do your thing, bro. A lot of Panda ideas, actually, he said a lot of Panda ideas came from him. He gives his team major props for being able to execute those ideas too. And yeah, I can agree with that. I also think there were some ideas that he had that we were like, what the fuck, no. But at least he would take the feedback to heart, right? So he says you do not want a Nintendo circuit. And the reason why is because if you looked at anything Nintendo has done otherwise, Nintendo does not do like big money prize caches or anything like that, right? It's always goods. So like you get prestige and you get a controller, right? You know what I'm saying? You get prestige, you get your name on something cool, maybe a Nintendo video and a banner for your room, right? But it's never like a pop bonus, right? So I definitely believe that. He says that Panda Cup was basically the best chance at getting a cup and Nintendo involvement. Most of the money that came from or that came to Panda Cup was from sponsorships. We had stuff like with milk, we had stuff with like, so players at the end of the Panda Cup, if they won, players could also pick a charity to throw money at as a donation. The winner of Melee and the winner of Ultimate would pick a charity that was like going to be a 10 to 15K donation that you would also throw. He says that Panda provided stable income. That's facts. And again, I didn't even get paid that much, and I still had a stability I do not have now that I'm kind of sad that I don't have, that I've still been trying to get back. Like, it's been about a year now. I'm still not sponsored. He says what sucks the most are the people who did not land on their feet. He feels bad about that. I wouldn't say I didn't land on my feet, but I definitely, am. The feet are giving out, you know what I'm saying? But there's definitely the people like who were working at Panda who like, they definitely did not land on their feet at all. Like, they have not found another job yet. Once Panda was gone, it was like, damn, that was like really, really stable for me. And now I have to figure out. And on the job market as of right now is kind of ass if you're doing esports or industry jobs. He says he also lent, his mom also lent him her life savings during one point, and like that was right before I think everything happened. So now her life savings is gone, his life savings is gone. He's put everything into this, and he's now still kind of slowly building that back up. He also said he had mad evidence to disprove things, but it's just not worth it at this time. I don't know how true that is, but I do think it's true that it just does not fucking matter. Because like what changes if he's able to come back and be like, these TOs are wrong, and this is what really happened, right? Now we have pitchforks at the TOs that you all like, rallied for, And then Alan's still out the community. So now we literally lose everything for real, for real. I think we're going to have even less tournaments next year. I see a lot, Low Tide said the final ride. So I'm wondering if that's going to be the last Low Tide we're getting ever. But yeah, we didn't really get shit, like this was not a good takedown. And now we're kind of still stuck in the aftermath of that, of not really having shit still. Yeah, bro, it's kind of rough out here for Smash. But yeah, so that's pretty much the major points of what happened all together with the podcast. If you would like to watch it in full detail, we'll definitely link it below. But that's basically what happened. How do I feel about the podcast? As I said, I do think that Dr. Allen is very good with his words. Not really a super huge fan of that, but I still think that everything he said has merit and worth and value, because yeah, a lot of this stuff is true. The Panda did actually do a lot of good stuff for the community, regardless of if you hated how it ended or if you had some personal vendetta against them or not. They did a lot of good stuff. I still miss them. You know what I mean? Like even from a non-sponsored standpoint, even before I was sponsored by Panda, I was still happy for the existence, and I still feel like they did a lot of good stuff for the community. So yeah, if you got any questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat now. We'll probably do a 10-minute Q&A. Are you of the opinion that he was a decent dude? Alan was a cool guy, man. I actually like talking to him a lot, to be honest. Did I know about all this stuff from him strong-arming people and whatnot? No, of course not. I didn't know that shit. But I also think that, I don't really know who fully to believe at this point in time. And that kind of sucks, because the people that came out against him, I don't know them that well. I can believe Mikey for sure. I don't know Ken that well. You know what I mean? Mikey, though, I do know the cheat. I know him like that. So I wouldn't believe that he was sitting lying in my face. Gimmer and Apostle, I know them well, and I will say from a friend standpoint, they definitely have that woe is me mentality sometimes. So not all the time, but there definitely is a little bit of a woe is me in them. So do I believe that there was going to be animosity between them? For sure. Do I believe everything they said? I'm not completely sure about that. But I also can see that they're still in a rough spot too. So really nobody won from that situation. Do you feel like this all could have been avoided if all people on the sides put their pride aside and talked? Yeah, I think pride is like a double-edged sword, because I'm a prideful motherfucker, but I'm a prideful motherfucker who also can recognize his own faults, right? How much did I know about what Panda was planning for the scene? Not much, to be honest. I was there for 7 months, bro. I didn't really get into a lot of the big meetings. Most of the stuff that I wanted to do with Panda, when I did ask to be put in meetings, was merch stuff. I wanted the merch to be fire. Why? Because I feel like, hello, y'all see how I dress? Maybe not today during the stream, but you've seen me on camera. I look fucking great. I know what good style is. I could have definitely had that merch going up. And they had some good ideas. The good tee was amazing. I still had that t-shirt. Also, the Panda varsity jacket, if it wasn't for the fact that I feel like I would get chastised at the end of this earth, I still will wear that goddamn jacket. I still got it. That shit's nice. That's a nice ass jacket, bro. Do you think the Lights Out podcast did a good job interviewing Alan? Do you wish they could have pushed back on certain points or asked other questions? I do wish they had actually really answered that question of what he did wrong, because they said, what did I do wrong? And then Light went into some fucking spiel about something, and then they just never got back to that. Do I think they did a good job interviewing him? I mean, yeah, I don't really know what we already got 3 or 4 different interviews of Alan where I think people were a little more harsh on him, and we got nothing out of that. So we had that one where he did the Twitter space, and that led to really nothing. That Twitter space did nothing for us. So I was like, all right, well, after that, I just stopped caring. I was like, it doesn't matter anymore. I know the Panda side more than the VGBC side, but I think it was more hurt feelings than malicious intent. Do you think VGBC had malicious intent toward Panda when making the original document? I'm going to say that it definitely was hurt feelings. I also think that this is one of the issues that I've had with VG for a while. And again, these are my brothers, and I say this out of love, but I do think that they they didn't grow with the times. So whilst VG did a shit ton of things for Smash in the early ages, they were one of the biggest conglomerates for Smash, bar none. I feel like as other people started to grow, instead of seeing that as a good thing, they saw it as a threat, and a lot of woe is me, and a lot of you guys are trading out on me and whatnot. that is not going to help, one, keep the community on your side, and two, grow the community at all. If someone else starts to grow, that's great. But yeah, there's always this thing that like older smashers, and we're still kind of getting that now, but there's always has to be competition. We can't have two good people. Someone has to be washed. And like, that's really annoying, you know? And I think that like, that's something as a community that y'all need to like, that we, not y'all, cause I'm still in it. We need to actively work against. There can be two good things, you know? There can be multiple good things. Then they have to be two. We can have 6 good stream conglomerates going around, and we fine. We have VG comeback, BTS's thing, or their offline, or whatever the fuck Ludwig calls this thing. I forgot now. Off brand. There it is. We have Port Priority and Satellite Smash. We get House of 3K. All these things we have still, you know, around that we could be using, and instead of like trying to compare one another, we could just be happy that they exist, right? So that's kind of where I'm at with all this, because as of right now, man, yeah, Smash not really in a good spot, right? And it's only going to get better if we make it better at this point in time. And if y'all are not going to be working together, then we will not be making it better. But hopefully y'all decide to work together in the future. Anyway, that's going to be it for this video. I very much appreciate you guys coming through, watching the video. I'm probably going to sit and chat and talk with y'all a little bit more. If you have any comments on anything that you heard here, make sure you leave them below. As I always do read the comments. Make sure you sub here, be it on my YouTube or on my Twitch. Obviously, the Twitch one is a Prime or 5, and that goes a long way because that's usually how I make the bulk of my money. And yeah, it also lets me know that I'm doing a good job. So thanks for watching TK Breezy's videos, streams, and all that good stuff. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.